So next month is going to be a very, very busy month for the Transformer world, and mostly due to what's going to be happening on the convention scene. Number one, we have TFCon at the beginning of July, and that's going to be a great one. There's going to be a whole bunch of new third-party stuff that's going to be revealed, a whole bunch of stuff physically in person in the glass cases, and of course in the panels. There'll be some third-party exclusives, and maybe even some predominant members of the Transformer community will finally come out from under his stone and be present for the first time in a while. But that's a whole other story. More importantly than that, because that doesn't matter, more importantly than that, San Diego Comic-Con 2022 is going to be happening at the end of July, specifically on July 21st to the 24th. And it's going to be the first time in a long while that Hasbro will be present. They announced, I believe it was just a couple days ago, that they were going to be there in full force and have stuff on display to hype up everything for the coming year. SDCC is a big deal. Big companies come there and they show off all their big movie brands and everything that's going to be happening. And Hasbro is going to be no different with Transformers and Rise of the Beast. So what we're going to be talking about today, essentially, is a whole bunch of control art that has been coming out over the past couple of days, because next month Hasbro is going to be pretty much showing the full Monty. A lot of this stuff is going to be showing up over the next couple of weeks because it's starting to show up in factories from the packaging facilities in the western regions, not in the eastern regions. So this is a lot of stuff that's going to be coming out. So let's talk about today some control art and the whole history of control art and how we see our Transformer product for the first time. And we're seeing a lot of Rise of the Beast product, not from leaked toys, not from, images from Hasbro or anything like that, but from licensed soft goods from different licensees. And it's kind of funny because the very first time we saw the movie Optimus Prime design was from a licensed good, not a Hasbro product. It was a beach towel in December of 2006 of movie Optimus Prime. And that was the first time we ever saw that design. I wish I still had that image because it's such a historical image, that beach towel. And so many people were saying, oh, it's not real. That's not what the movie Optimus is going to look like. It's always funny to go back and look at those discussions. But we kind of have the same thing here too, where we have a whole bunch of different control art of the robot modes that are being shown. And it really is the first time we're seeing these robot modes because the toys are kind of vague. We haven't really seen much of the toys. All of the live shooting of the movie from different studios and different locations never really show the robot modes. So this is really the first time we're seeing some actual robot mode designs in full color and everything. And we're going to talk about it today. And it's pretty cool. So we have Optimus, we have Bumblebee, we have a Optimus Primal that I have to address, which isn't actually control art, and we have some faction logos. So pretty cool stuff there too. Now I'm going to address the control art thing and the Optimus for a second. Now, so what control art is, for people that aren't aware, is when companies have a big brand that they want to promote and other companies want to license it to use for goods, they usually have a packet of control art that represent how they want their characters to be represented. And the 2007 movie is probably the best example of that. Go back and look at any merchandising of the 2007 movie. It could be t-shirts, it could be book, folders, it could be a box of Pop-Tarts with movie Megatron on it. And they all use the same control art that was used on posters, it was used on fishing rods, it was used on tumblers, it was everywhere. Optimus, Megatron, Bumblebee, Starscream, Blackout, Barricade, Ratchet, I know I'm forgetting somebody, Ironhide. All of that art was used everywhere. And it was the same art over and over. And that's what control art is. It's a very specific art that they feel they're confident represents the brand properly. And if you're going to have movie Optimus on the cover of a box of Kellogg's Corn Flakes, they want that piece of art to be used with those licensors. And so this is what this art is, essentially. It's control art. It's going to be used on a whole bunch of different things. And the art that we have today comes courtesy of a Australian retailer that's going to have a whole bunch of different soft goods. It's called Big W, this Australian retailer. And they're going to have light up slipper boots for kids. They're going to have pajamas. They're going to have t-shirts. They're going to have high top sneakers. And all of this stuff features control art from what is going to be Rise of the Beast. Optimus Prime, Bumblebee, some faction logos, and a little something extra. So I'll get into the Optimus Primal thing first because I addressed it on my Twitter, and not everyone uses Twitter. I don't blame you. And so I'm just going to address it here too. So the Optimus Primal art that was shown, for people that are new to the fandom, not everyone's been in the fandom for multiple years. This is actually the original box art from Optimus Primal from Beast Wars 95-96. So that's not how he's going to look in the movie. That's just some art that for some reason ended up in this collage with this movie Bumblebee design from Rise of the Beast that somehow showed up in Russia a year ago, and it went under the radar, and we're only talking about it now apparently. The Bumblebee one, of course, the control art, which is being used on the boots, it's being used in a whole bunch of different things. It's Camaro Bee that's tuned up a little bit more to look like his movie Bumblebee design mixed with old Camaro Bee. And look, we know that Camaro Bee is in the movie. We know that he's going to have two different kinds of designs. He's going to have his traditional Camaro Bee design and the off-road design with the big wheels and the roll cage and everything like that. So that's no big surprise, this one. The movie Optimus one, the closest we got to kind of knowing about this control art and this design comes from that Cyberverse / buzzworthy Bumblebee toy, Cyber Smasher, or Cyber Stomper, I think it was called, or whatever. Cyber Smash, I don't know. Whatever they called it. We kind of saw what the robot mode looked like a little bit through a gimmicky toy, but nothing that really represents, I guess, that CG kind of look. And so here we have it here with this Optimus. And again, much like the Bumblebee movie, a pleasant fusion of that early movie kind of aesthetic mixed with that of the Generation 1 aesthetic, and people are happy with that. And that this is probably just going to move it even more forward, and he's going to have that giant grill, no doubt, at some point, like we saw in all the recordings from both Montreal and Peru. Last but not least, let's talk about those faction symbols. Now, last week, Hasbro refreshed their trademarks for the Maximal and Predacon faction symbols, and people were kind of thrown off by that. They're like, oh, why are they doing that? They do it all the time. The only reason why I think this one was more public is because we have a movie coming. Those faction symbols are going to be important, especially when it comes to licensing, like this stuff here. It's no surprise last week we see faction symbols get refreshed for licensing, and then we have a whole bunch of soft goods products, pajamas, t-shirts, and everything that are going to have Maximal logos on them. No surprise. So we have these pajamas here that have both the Autobot and Decepticon movie logos and the Maximal and Terracon logos. Predacon logo is going to be used obviously for Beast Wars merchandising and Kingdom stuff that came prior before that and everything like that, and probably in the future product too. Look, we have an Inferno toy coming soon. I'm pretty sure it's going to be somewhere on that packaging. Either way, for people that aren't aware, Autobot and Decepticon logos, the movie versions are slightly different than the G1 versions. They actually have a more kind of meaner, kind of sharp edge to the way the eyes are. So even the trademarking on the Autobot and Decepticon logos are slightly different than their G1 counterparts. So just keep that in mind too. But even the Maximal logo here, the Maximal logo that's represented here today, that we finally get a clear image of it. We kind of saw little pieces of it here and there from the shootings of the movie and the recordings. But this is the first time we have it really nice and clear on a piece of licensed material. And we see that it's a slightly modified 1995-96 Maximal logo with little lines and pieces on it that just kind of give it that movie flavor, I guess. That makes it distinctly different from its original 90s counterpart. And the Terracon logo. Again, this isn't the first time we've seen it. The first time we saw it was on the grill of Scourge from, again, the recordings and everything that was happening all over. But this is the first time that we see it nice and clear. The very first time we see it nice and clear and everything like that. And yeah, hey, now we have a nice look at the Terracon logo, and it's very Unicronian looking flavor. But I don't know what I'm talking about. Anyways, so all of this stuff is featured on t-shirts. It's featured on shoes and everything like that. And this stuff is going to be rolling out like crazy very soon. Again, all the toys right now are leaving the packaging factories in Quebec. So we're going to be seeing not only just toys physically that are probably going to be leaking out, but we're going to be seeing packaging. That packaging is going to be featuring some kind of CG mock-ups of how those characters look in the movie. The back of the packaging is going to have little bios on them explaining who these characters are. We're going to get a huge information dump within the next month because of what's going to be happening again when I started this segment with SDCC, but also what the toys are going to be telling us, the licensed goods are going to be telling us, and everything beyond that. So keep an eye out for all of that. The next couple of weeks are going to be very interesting for Rise of the Beast, considering that the movie is still a year away, and we're going to be learning a lot about it now. Again, I blame the big V for that. I just hope the movie works out in the end, despite the fact that it has this weird timeline of how we're learning about stuff, and it might affect the hype and the interest from the mainstream audience. But we'll see how that turns out. Hopefully we'll learn more. Maybe we'll learn more before tomorrow, which is the Saturday night live stream for the Transformer Slag podcast. Again, 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, Saturday night. Come check us out and hang out. We'll take some super chats and everything like that. Let me know what you think about this. It's still pretty cool otherwise. Hopefully we'll learn more in the near future. Primal, Cheetor, and the rest. But as always, like I say, let's rock out with the robots in disguise.